Hey everybody, welcome back to the Raw Read. I am so glad you decided to stop by and see what I'm reading on. But before we get started, as usual, I have to invite everybody in because this is such a terrific community. I want everybody to have the experience. And listen, if you think I'm BSing you, you think I'm hyping this community up, go in those comments, talk to somebody. I promise you, you are going to be impressed. You're going to get a kiki too. I promise that as well. And when you get finished and you come out of those comments, this is what I want you to do. Go down in those settings, look around, find that subscribe button, and go ahead on and subscribe. And while you're in there, hit the notification bell too so you'll know when I upload or when I just want to pop in. And give me a thumbs up to fight my nemesis, the beast, that algorithm. Y'all, I have it in a chokehold and it is gasping for air. I kid you not. So thank y'all for all these thumbs up. Y'all are doing the doggone thing. Also, I just want to give a shout out and a thank you to all of the readers who decide to support the channel by watching the commercials. Y'all are doing the doggone thing as well. I'm telling you, everybody is doing their part, and I am so grateful and so thankful. Also, over there in the corner, you see it over there? That's our join button. That's for channel memberships. And if you choose to become a channel member and a part of the reading club, you will be supporting my channel to grow, to improve, and to continue. And I'll be so grateful, so happy, so over the moon, and just thankful. And listen, if you just want to do a one-time donation, look in the other corner. That's our super thanks button. And all donations to the channel is always greatly appreciated. All right, y'all, we do have some shout outs. And first up, I want to shout out Jane Press. Jane has been with me since the beginning, and she does nothing but hype me up and send me love. She is everything. I'm so lucky to have her. So thank you, Jane. Thank you for the super thanks, but most of all, thank you for being such a unwavering supporter. And next up, I want to thank Hilda T. Hilda T is just everything, coming through all the time, supporting. I mean, she is just everything. So thank you, Hilda T. Thank you for the super thanks, but most of all, thank you for being such a huge part of this community. And Jacqueline Rippey. Jacqueline is just everything. She is. She is always supporting, always in those comments. So thank you, Jacqueline. Thank you for the super thanks. But most of all, thank you for being down with the read. All right, y'all. I'm going to play this and we'll talk on the other side. All right, y'all, I want to give another quick shout out to Jane Press, Hilda T, and Jacqueline Rippey. Thank y'all. Thank y'all for continuing to support my channel. It just means everything. You know, when I first started this channel, I prayed that God would put good people in my path, and He has blessed me abundantly with such great people like Jane, like Hilda, like Jacqueline. So thank you for the super thanks. But most of all, thank y'all for being here and being a part of this wonderful community. All right, y'all, let's get started. And y'all know what I do when I am putting the read together. Y'all know I hit those internet streets, and that's exactly what I have done today. And boy, the streets have not cooled off. They're still hot. I mean, story after story after story keeps coming out, even though that family want to put a lid on this pressure cooker. it is still rattling on the stove like it is about to explode. And I'll tell you, it is getting really, really interesting. And I could not be more thrilled about it. I could not. It is so delicious. They are getting their comeuppance, and I love it. Now, do I think anything is going to come up any of this? Absolutely not. But I love seeing them sweat. I do. And I love seeing them exposed. They are absolutely laid bare. And I just love it for them because they tried to do this to Harry and Meghan and ended up doing it to themselves. And it is a wonderful thing. So let's get started. We have quite a bit. We have a little Harry and Meghan news. We got more on Andrew. More stuff has come out and more details from this book from Virginia Giuffre and how Charles is handling it and where he wants to send Andrew. Yes, he wants Andrew out of, well, at least that's what they're saying, but I don't believe he's going to move out of Royal Lodge. I don't. But they're saying he wants him out, and I'm going to show you the place where he wants to send him. And y'all are going to be so surprised. No, y'all probably won't be surprised because y'all been on these internet streets with me for a minute. So yeah, we got quite a bit to talk about because I'm telling you, I didn't say anything, but y'all, today is my birthday. It is. Today is my birthday. And so I'm going to try not to be so messy. I'm gonna try to be, but y'all know it's always hard for me. And I have had such a great day. I have had such a great birthday. I have everything that I want or and need, and I'm just so blessed and so thankful. So because it's my birthday, I'm gonna try to control myself a little bit, but y'all be patient with me. All right, y'all, we're gonna put this up. This is new Harry and Meghan news. And I'm going to put it up. This was an article in the Financial Times. And as you can see, the title of the article is More Than 800 Public Figures Join Call for AI Superintelligence Ban. And guess who two of those public figures calling for this ban were? Harry and Meghan, yes. And this particular squatty posted about it. And they posted what Harry said in his statement about, AI and this super intelligence and how it's taking over the world. It really is. And it's a little scary. I don't know if AI scares you or not, but it makes me nervous because it's getting to the point where human intelligence is almost, useless and unneeded. And I don't like that because you can teach a system, a algorithm, answers, and you can teach it facts, but can you teach it wisdom? I don't know. I think only the human intelligence can actually be wise. Y'all tell me what y'all think, but I agree with Harry and Meghan on this one and these other really, really intelligent, people who came together to call for this ban. Now, it's one or two in here is absolutely sus when it comes to intelligence, but we'll leave that for another day. And the squatty posted what Harry said, and this is what he said. In joining the initiative, Prince Harry said, the future of AI should serve humanity, not replace it. Where is the lie? That's what I was saying. It makes me nervous that it's trying to replace human intelligence, with artificial intelligence. And can artificial intelligence be wise? I don't think so. I really don't. But, we have some people in this world who really want to replace people. They do. They only want a few people to thrive. And I don't see how that's going to work out. But I digress. And it goes on to say that the true test of progress will not be how fast we move, but how wisely we steer. Where's the lie? Harry just coming up with the wisdom. He is. And like I say, can artificial intelligence come up with wisdom like that? Only, we as human beings, we grow, we learn, and we grow in wisdom. I don't know if artificial intelligence does that, but it makes me nervous. I'm just going to say it flat out. It really, really does. I know new innovations, new things come to pass. Just looking at my childhood and looking at all the innovation that has come between my first birthday and this birthday is shocking and amazing and extraordinary. But it seems like inventions really was to improve life, your day-to-day life. All the inventions, in the past, and the progress in the past was to improve your life. Now this artificial intelligence seems like it wants to take your life, take it over and replace it. Am I overdoing it here? Y'all tell me in the comments. But yeah, I have some thoughts when it comes to artificial intelligence. And I'm gonna put this up. This squatty said more than 800 people signed the petition, and everyone is putting the successes in the headlines. And the British media tells you that they're irrelevant. Exactly. And look at this. The independent, I mean, you name it, they made sure that Harry and Meghan's name was listed first, or at least among the first names that were mentioned in every article, in every post, in every publication. Harry and Meghan always make the top list. When anything goes down and they're involved in it, their name is either going to be first, second, and no later than third in the billing. That's just the way it is, but yet it's still that media over there. I saw clips of that old flat face Camilla Tominey and Piss on You Morgan. She was interviewing him, and he couldn't do nothing but talk about Harry and Meghan and said that they were irrelevant. He has wrote an old trash book that nobody wants to read or have anything to do about it. She is the only one that has even talked to him about it. I'm sure it's been out for a minute. I think it's been out for a minute because, listen, it is not even on my radar. I heard about it maybe 2 weeks ago or something. I think the Daily Fail did some excerpts of it, or he did some kind of article about it or whatever. And of course, Harry and Meghan's name was right there trying to draw the eyeballs. And I paid him nothing but dust. I didn't even put it on my podcast because, as far as I'm concerned, piss on him, moron. He is invisible to me. But I digress. They want to sit there, have a conversation for 30 to 40 minutes, and mention Harry and Meghan in every other breath, and still want to try to gaslight people into believing that somehow these people that you talk about all the time, that you make a living off their names, are irrelevant. This is the nonsense that they're trying to sell, trying to peddle. And so the squatties, we have none of that. We have none of that because the last time I looked, we have more than one or two brain cells in the squadron. We have very intelligent people. Only a fool would believe that Harry and Meghan are irrelevant. And every single day it is proven that they are not irrelevant. They are very much relevant because if they step out the door to have lunch, it goes around the world and become a global news event. It does. And if you want to talk about something or someone being irrelevant, you need to focus your gaze across the pond over there to that family. I'm telling you, it's not one of them that can capture the news of the world. They cannot. They stand on their head. They do all kinds of stuff. William is coming up with Earthlock. I saw his little promotion video, and I'm telling you, it was like a prize fighter video. Dun, 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 dun. I mean, dramatic music and all this thing, trying to hype him up, trying to stir up some interest. Why, oh why would anybody be interested in anything dull, dumb William would be putting on? Because this is a whole vanity project. This is not something that's really meant to show any kind of results. How many of these prize winners do you know? And it is, the word on the curb is they rarely get their money. It is given to them bit by bit by bit. I mean, just hand feeding them just a little bit every year. I mean, it's ridiculous. And they also, in this promotional video, showed all of the celebrities that were coming. And I must admit, I did not know none of these people really. The only person I really recognized was Matthew McConaughey. Now, I really like Matthew McConaughey. I really do. He starred in one of my favorite movies called Time to Kill with Samuel L. Jackson. So I'm kind of a fan of Matthew. But let me school you a little bit about Matthew, though. He doesn't have the best of characters. And like past celebrity attendees of Earthflop, I bet you that Matthew has no idea about anything when it comes to Earthflop. He is there for the check like Heidi Klum was last year because Matthew hadn't had a movie in a long time. And I'm sure his, money is getting a little thin. So he is coming to attend so William can cut that check. And Matthew, this is another character flaw about Matthew. Matthew is from Uvalde, Texas. And if that name of that city rings a bell, that is where they had that awful, awful school shooting. And Megan went down there, volunteered, and still to this day stay in contact with a lot of the families that she met down there. And Archwell, in conjunction with an organization called Kaboom, built a playground for the kids in Uvalde. And the squatties, we came in, we raised money for this organization. So the result of Megan and Archwell going in there building that playground, it brought awareness to this organization, Kaboom. And I can only imagine how many more playgrounds have been built because of what Archwell did in Uvalde and making people aware of this organization. But I digress. Y'all know that the Derangers and all of them pretend like Megan brought her own camera. She wanted to be videoed. She wanted it to go across America that she was down there in Uvalde, and it was all a PR stunt. While they just absolutely ignored that that's exactly what Matthew McConaughey did. Matthew McConaughey brought his own cameras. He did. And he did it as a PR stunt because to this day, and I might be mistaken, if I'm wrong, y'all put it in the comment. I don't know nothing that Matthew McConaughey has done for Uvalde. I know he was trying to launch his bid to become governor of Texas off of it. I do know that because his name was in the mix of him running for, governor of Texas. So yes, everything they accuse Megan of doing, Matthew McConaughey did exactly that. So this is who Matthew McConaughey is. Now, like I said, I like Matthew. I do. I like his country type, persona, because I'm Southern myself. So of course I love another Southerner. But just for a little information, just for a little context of who Willie is having at Earthflop. Don't get it twisted. I don't believe Matthew is there for a minute about this cause, and he has been involved in it for a long time, and he believes in it. He is another Heidi Klum. He is there for the check. Write the check and make sure it clears. That's all I got to say about that. But when I saw that video, I saw Matthew. I said to myself, yeah, Willie is paying very well. I think he is really trying to buy his way into Hollywood. But, good luck with that one, Willie. But yes, I digress, y'all. I digress. I went on a tangent. But yes, you might run into that on these internet streets. He has a promotional video out promoting Earthflop. He does. He does. I'm just saying. But I'm gonna put this up, y'all. And this particular squatty is reposting the post from Forbes magazine talking about these 800 public figures and them calling for this ban. This particular squatty that reposted what Forbes had posted said this: there are literal billionaires who signed the open letter, but the media is leading with Harry and Meghan. As ever, the only two roles people care about. And we know this to be the truth. That's why they hate on them. That's why they hate on them. Because they have to do tricks. They have to stand on their heads just for their media. The media that's supposed to cover them actually pays them any attention. Now, Harry and Meghan goes global for just little stuff. And I bet you it really eats them up because they really act like it eats them up. So, yes, I agree with this squatty. The only two roles that anybody cares anything about. All right, I'm going to put this one up. And this squatty said, let me enjoy it. Look, including Harry, Meghan, no last name, no title, because they know the world knows who they're talking about. My faves are just built different. Yes, as you can see, they just said Harry and Meghan. They didn't say the Duke and Duchess of Sussex. That is what squatties have been saying for years. That's why we don't care about the titles, because at the end of the day, people know exactly who Harry and Meghan are. And they are not going to stop caring about them. I mean, they're not going to stop the show. They really think if they take those titles that they're going to stop the show. Well, I know future king dumb as a rock. He probably thinks so. But he is going to get a rude awakening if he decides to do that. Because it's only going to make them more popular, more relevant. I'm just saying. And another squatty reposted that same squatty's post and said, Harry and Meghan are so famous that you only have to say their first name and everyone will know who you're talking about. All I can say is, where's the lie? No titles needed. No titles needed. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, we're going to switch gears. We're going to start talking about Andrew because some new stuff has come out. These internet streets are talking. So let's get into it. I want to put this up. This is from the National. And it says, new, a law which would allow the king to formally strip Prince Andrew of his dukedom is being introduced in the Commons today. So this MP is saying that they feel that the king should have power to strip any person who is titled of their title. The king should have that power and not Parliament. And so they introduced this law. Well, it had about as much of a chance as a snowball in HE hockey sticks of going anywhere. And that's pretty much what this article said. I read the article and it was pretty much a joke. It was this one MP who did this. Y'all know Charles don't want that power. Charles do not want that power. He doesn't want that smoke. He doesn't want the responsibility. He don't. He wants to make an excuse. He wants to use Parliament as an excuse for not stripping Andrew of his dukedom. So I knew that this wasn't going anywhere. When I read the article, I saw the headline and the post, and I said, well, that's tantalizing. But then when I went into the article, I said, I knew this was nothing. This was a nothing burger. But yeah, they're trying to give us a good show. That's it. They are trying. And it's all a show. Nothing will change. I'm just saying. All right, y'all, I'm going to put this up. And Chris Ship, with a P, not a T, as Byron would say, he is doing his part in the gaslighting of the UK public. And he posted this saying, so the Prince Andrew problem moves from MPs not giving their opinion publicly, then MPs expressing their views publicly. Sick of him, get out of my constituency. Now at PMQ's calling for his living arrangement needed to be looked. They are talking about having Andrew come to Parliament and explain what went on with Royal Lodge. I kid you not. Everybody in the royal households knew that Andrew was not paying any rent on Royal Lodge. They already knew that. 22 years of not paying your rent and you telling me your landlord doesn't know anything about it? Come on now. This is ridiculous. And what you gonna do? Call him down there to Parliament so he could absolutely not say anything? He's not gonna say anything. And I don't believe they're gonna call him down to Parliament. This is a pantomime. This is a full-on production to gaslight the public, to appease their suckers in order for them to continue the grift. So don't hold your breath thinking that Prince Andrew is going to show up down there at Parliament anytime soon, because he's not. It is a show. It is a performance. Believe that. This particular squatty reposted this nonsense from Chris Ship, with a P, not a T, saying, let's be clear, Charles and William will not be at all happy if Andrew is summoned to appear before a selected committee to be questioned about Royal Lodge, because this could and should lead to a greater scrutiny of all the valued taxpayers are getting from the Crown properties. Where's the lie? They don't want to be looked into. They want this squashed. They do not want it looked into because it goes deep. The rot is deep. And so they don't want the people to see how rotten it is. And I'm going to put this up. This is something new as well. It's from News Agents. And I think that is like a TV show or something over to the UK with journalists, so-called journalists, because I don't even think it's any real journalists over there across the pond. But I digress on that point. And they posted this, and it says, King Charles doesn't want Prince Andrew in Royal Lodge anymore. He doesn't want him on Windsor Estate. Prince Andrew thought dropping his royal titles would make life easier amidst new JE scrutiny. He was wrong. Yes, they're saying that they don't even want him on the royal estate. Y'all, I'm telling you, I saw Jeremy. I saw Jeremy Vine, and Jeremy Vine was talking about Andrew and saying that Andrew be riding his horse, and they should take the horse away. They should take the horse away from him. Saying he be up there riding the horse. He shouldn't have he shouldn't have that horse. I don't know what is going on with these people. It is just so it has gotten to the point of ridiculous. So they saying that he shouldn't even be allowed to ride a horse. I cannot. So he can't ride a horse, and they no longer saying Charles no longer wants him at Royal Lodge and on Windsor Estate. Where is he gonna go? Where is he gonna go? Well, we're gonna talk about that a little later. But yes, I mean we are at the ridiculous at this point. We are. I have never saw so much ridiculous nonsense. And it's all going to add up to naught. Now, if it wasn't so ridiculous, you maybe could take them seriously and kind of believe that they were going to do the right thing. But it's just too ridiculous. They're not going to do the right thing. They never do the right thing. Andrew will never be held accountable, ever. And so, but they want to try to gaslight you, and it's get like I said, it's getting more and more ridiculous and more funny. Now, what he did in the situation that he has put himself in, now none of that is funny, but it is the media and that family is just hilarious to me what they are doing. I mean, it's so stupid. But yes, I thought I would fall out of my chair when Jeremy Vine said he needs to stop riding that horse. I cannot, y'all. But yes, that's it's what they're saying. And I'm gonna put this up. And this squad is talking about the same old nonsense, this performative, just outrage, just it is just ridiculous. This squatty says kudos to the British media. They have managed to divert attention away from Virginia Giuffre and the allegations against Prince Andrew and the failure to properly investigate. By whipping up outrage by lying about the terms of the lease they've known about since the inception. Exactly. Exactly. They're trying to steer the attention away from the real serious allegations here when it comes to this poor woman, Virginia Giuffre. They don't want to talk about that part. They want to talk about a lease that they've been knowing about for years, for years. And they can lie and lie and lie, but you cannot tell me that the Crown Estate did not know Andrew was not paying rent. You can't tell me any different. I mean, these people are absolutely ridiculous. But I'm telling you, there's some people out there. I even saw on MSNBC today that they were talking about this. They were talking about Virginia Giuffre's book. It has sold out on Amazon. It is the number one book on Amazon and about to be the number one bestseller on the New York Times. So they can do whatever they want to. But this story is not going away. It's going to keep on cooking. If Harry and Meghan hadn't learned those people anything, they should have learned that they cannot control the narrative. They cannot control the world press. They can't. They can write whatever they want to. They can kind of try to steer it in any way that they want to. But at the end of the day, they don't carry the weight that they used to carry. And they're trying to sell it to the subjects. They're trying to sell it to the taxpayers of the United Kingdom. And I don't even think they're buying it. I really, really don't. Even though it's a lot of people who believe in that family, I think it is really growing to the point where people are just not swallowing anything, anything that is coming from that media or that family. I'm just saying. All right, I'm going to put this up, and this is from National 2, and it says King Charles may be planning to send Prince Andrew to a castle in the Scotland Highlands, according to a report. Yes, he is planning on sending him to a castle in Scotland. Now, I saw some people going back and forth with the Rangers saying that the royal family only owns one castle in Scotland, and that would be Balmoral. Well, we found out today, no, 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 no. They own two castles in Scotland. And it says the owner of the Castle of May. It is the Castle of May that they own. It says is the Queen Elizabeth's Castle of May's Trust, which is managed by the King's Foundation. The trust was established after Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mother, who purchased the castle in 1952, handed it over in 1996. The current trustee is King Charles III, who inherited the role through his foundation. And they say they did this so they didn't have to pay the maintenance on the castle. They have all the control, all the usage. They can do whatever they want to with the castle because it's managed by the King's Foundation. But they don't have to pay the upkeep. They don't have to pay the maintenance on it. I'm telling you, the more these people talk, the more this scandal becomes more just widespread and deeper. You find out more and more stuff about this family, low down stuff that goes so deep, deep down to Queen Elizabeth and the Queen Mother. They did that. They put this obligation on the taxpayers. They took it off themselves and put it on the taxpayer. This is what they really think of the taxpayer. It is a grift. If this right here doesn't prove that it's a grift, I don't know anything that would. Yes, it has a big old castle sitting over there in Scotland, and the UK public is picking up the tab for the upkeep. Tell me that's not a grift. That is a grift among grifts. I'm just saying. And here we have a picture of it. Yes, this is the Castle of May in Scotland. The one that they want to exile Prince Andrew in. Can you imagine being a pedo and you are exiled to a little castle? This is what they were talking about. And this particular squatty posted about it and said, this is the castle in Scotland that King Charles is threatening to banish Prince Andrew to. They are taking the piss. Yes, absolutely. He is not moving down. They are not downsizing him. He is, if they banish him, they're going to banish him to a castle in Scotland. And do you think he'll be paying any rent there? Absolutely not. He's not going to pay any rent. Everything is going to be paid for him by the taxpayer. Why? Because this falls under the King's Foundation. And the British taxpayer is going to be picking up the tab for this pedo, alleged pedo. Yes, isn't that something? I would call it a grift. I'm just saying. I'm going to put this up, and people have started to scrutinize all of their grifts, all of these homes that all of these people live in. Look at this. This is Edward's home. It says, wait until people realize that Prince Edward has a 150-year lease for Bagshot Park and is paying essentially nothing. But never mind, he's loyal. Royals have truly fooled the public with duty that doesn't serve mankind. Where is the lie? Because what does Edward do to help mankind? What does any of them do? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. They leech off of the taxpayer. That's it. And to give them these performative, nonsensical things. I mean, literally, they do nothing and you give them everything. This is Edward's house, him and Sophie. It is ridiculous. And this is a closer look at, what is it, Bagshot Park? Yes, where Edward and Sophie live. Can you imagine? Look at this. And they had Harry and Meghan in a shack. And they moved them from a shack to a average looking house and made them pay for the renovations. But Edward, which is 15th, who is 15th in line, has a house looking like this. I kid you not. If it wasn't true, it would absolutely be unbelievable. And the squatty that posted the picture of Edward and Sophie's beautiful home said this: the home of the 15th in line of succession. Even if you ignore the lease arrangement, which is 150 years. Who has a lease for 150 years? Whew, I tell you, the grift is real. And it says who pays for the upkeep? King Charles and the security. Can you imagine the security, the upkeep for this home? And Sophie and Edward barely works. Now compared to Willie and Kitty, yeah, they work a lot, but compared to normal people, they do not. They absolutely do not. And they have this huge, huge home. And like I said, they had Harry and Meghan in a shack. They were the most popular, the hardest working, and Harry and Meghan had nothing. Harry had nothing before Meghan got there. Harry was the hardest working of them all. He was the most loved of them all. They say behind the Queen, but I believe Harry was in front of the Queen. And he had nothing. He had holes in his shoes, holes in his pants. He was wearing his daddy's belt and his daddy's hand-me-down shoes. He had nothing. And can you imagine Edward walking around with this kind of house doing practically nothing? You tell me this is not a grift. I'm just saying. And a squatty came up under this post and said, all the royal leases should be under scrutiny. Royal Lodge is just the tip of the iceberg. Edward's lease on Bagshot Park is outrageous. Absolutely. I bet the shocker is how much money they asked him to pay monthly on that. Now they're supposed to pay a fair market price. At least that's what they had Harry and Meghan paying. But I bet you it's just a pittance that they are asking for him to pay. But I bet you they are not paying that as well. These people are absolutely parasites. I'm just saying. And look at this. Andrew still has his security. Someone took a picture of the security. You know, he still has his security. And I said this in my past podcast. I'm not saying he doesn't need security. All I'm saying is Why does he have it and Harry and Meghan do not? That's the problem. Harry not having security, and he is the king's son. Now, no matter what he did, he needs security. And if you're going to apply that to Andrew, why not apply that to Harry? But this particular squatter that posted this picture said, I thought the Met Police couldn't protect non-working royals. Who asked the police protection for Royal Lodge? Andrew, the king, Ravak, these people take the British for fools. Yeah, they do. Absolutely, they do. And there is the police protection. Like I said, I don't begrudge Andrew of security. I'm sure he needs security, especially during these particular times. You know what I'm saying? And he is the king's brother. He is the son of the former monarch, Elizabeth II. So, of course, he needs security no matter what he has done. But why isn't the same grace extended to Harry? And he has done nothing except protect himself and his wife. But you will just throw him out to the wolves as if you could care less if he lived or died. You cared less about his personal safety of him and his family. It's mind blowing to me. And I'm gonna put this up. This particular squatty posted about how Andrew is keeping his security. And they say this: all this proves is that Charles is a monster who let his demonic heir abuse Prince Harry and Meghan, then pursue them for leaving a toxic situation. Diana was right when she said that Charles wasn't fit to be king, and Prince Philip was smart for telling Queen Elizabeth II to never abdicate. I agree. I absolutely agree. Because Charles has absolutely proven himself to not be fit for purpose. I'm just saying. And I'm going to put this one up because this squatty just absolutely puts it in a nutshell and says this: we recently found out that King Charles has been paying security for his disgraced brother, Andrew. The security Prince Harry was told wasn't for hire turned out it is. Yes, it turns out it is. But how many times did we hear the Met Police is not for sale? You can't buy it. Harry said, I'll pay for my own security. No, you can't do that. They're not for hire. And Charles was doing it the whole time. And then they say that he was trying to get it reversed to the point where just before all of this hit the fan, that the taxpayer would go back to would start to go back to paying Andrew's security. He was just about to make the transition where he wasn't paying it anymore. He was going to put it back on the taxpayer. Yeah. And it goes on to say, is being done so by Charles for his J.E. loving brother. Good luck, Prince Harry. Expose these efforts. Exactly. They have been exposed, and the more this cook, the more they get exposed. Because we just found out they got a castle, another castle over in Scotland. We have found out that they were lying when they said Harry couldn't pay for his security. They were lying about that because he was doing it the whole time. Harry was fighting in court to do exactly that. Tell me that is not a trash father. I cannot with these people. I absolutely cannot. And I'm going to put this up. Now, this is not new to Squatties. We already knew it. We had saw the video of Amy Robach saying that she had the story 3 years ago about Prince Andrew and Virginia Giuffre. She was going to do an interview with Virginia Giuffre, said she had all the evidence, everything was in line, and ABC would not give her the green light on it. But old school squatties, we know the story. This is nothing new, but it's new on these internet streets, and the people who knew are acting like it's brand new, and the people who didn't know are shocked. But none of those people are squatties because we already knew about it. But I digress. This is a repost, and the original post features an article from OK Magazine, and the title of the article is Virginia Giuffre say her Andrew interview pulled because of Kate and William. The interview in 2019 wasn't aired after a call from Buckingham Palace, she said. And we all knew that. Well, Squatties knew that because we have saw the video of Amy Robach talking about this, saying that she had everything. Everything was lined up and she could never get the green light to go ahead with it. I'm telling you, this is nothing new to Squatties. I have saw it come down my timeline for some years that Squatties was posting about this. And finally, it has come to light for everyone to see. It is not something that is being discussed among Squatties. It is now being discussed among the world's media. It is. And the squatty that posted this article said this: what the F do you mean? They really are playing in everyone's faces. Hashtag Virginia Giuffre had a chance to speak her truth when she was alive, but was silenced by the royal family yet again. Absolutely. And the squatty that reposted this said the palace threatened ABC with access to William and Kate if they didn't drop the Andrew and the JE storyline and Virginia's interview. I wonder how that's worked. I wonder how that's worked out for ABC. Did I miss the interview with William and Kate somewhere? You absolutely did not, because they're not going to do an interview, because those two mediocres cannot do a sit down interview. We saw the first and last interview that they had together was their engagement interview, and it was a hot mess inside of a train wreck, inside of a dumpster fire, inside of a shit show. It was horrible. Kate sit there and absolutely could not string together 2 or 3 words at that point. She literally looked like a baby deer in headlights. Now she's wrestling with 2 or 3 sentences. She was wrestling with 2 or 3 words in this particular interview. And we hadn't saw them sit down since. Now William have sit down and crossed his legs and just absolutely told all manner of lies and disclosed the fact that his wife had precancerous cells. But they have not sit down together because Mumbles McButtons cannot handle that. She's too mediocre. She cannot string together sentences where you can actually understand a thought, her thought process of what she's trying to say. So, no, they absolutely have not given ABC an interview. You have not missed anything. And I just find it hilarious that the palace's big flex was that they were going to restrict access to Willie and Kitty. Can you believe that? And my whole thing is now, looking back, they really didn't know that these two mediocres, nobody was going to want to have access to them. Because if they did an interview right now on ABC, nobody would watch that nonsense. Nobody would watch it because I'll say 2/3 of America doesn't even know who they are. And what the third that's left, half of that don't even care. They know who they are, but they don't care enough to watch. So you are absolutely, you know, left with about a half of a third, if you can make sense of that. Nobody cares about Willie and Kitty. I mean, it's like Jennifer Lopez movies. You might as well just know that it's going to be a flop. It is. Anything with Willie and Kitty and Jennifer Lopez, flippity, flippity, flop. Y'all know that movie she put out, I think it was last weekend, The Kiss of the Spider Woman. I said, when I saw that, I said, flippity, flippity, flop. I'm talking about Jennifer Lopez now. Yes, that movie. It didn't even make $1 million. It was, I think they said it cost $30 million to make, and it didn't make a million. I'm telling you, she is box office led. She is. And that is the way Kate and Willie is. People don't care about them. And ABC gave up this big story to have access to them, and they still didn't get access. And if they did, it still would have been a flippity flippity flop. Who is making decisions over there? It is crazy to me. And I'm gonna put this up and look at this picture. Here's a picture of Virginia Giuffre as a teenager, as a young girl. You can tell she's a young girl at a party, a birthday party for Naomi Campbell. And they posted this, and it says, new Virginia Giuffre's own words cut through the noise in her new memoir released today. Nobody's Girl. She said of this photograph, I'm caught in the foreground clearly by accident. I'm 17 years old, and right next to me is Maxwell. You know, I'm not gonna say her name because of how this algorithm is, but you know, the woman that was with JE. And it says, later, a fellow survivor told me that this photograph was the reason she broke her silence. The photo says something 1,000 words couldn't. Everyone knew I was a child. Look at this. It is sad. It is so sad. And I'm going to put this up, and this was an article. It says JESEX slave seen at Naomi Campbell's birthday party in 2001. And you cannot tell me that these people could not tell that this was a child. Look at her. And it says, look how young Virginia was. Sickening. Heads need to roll. Exactly. I mean, she was a baby, and you could tell she was a baby. I mean, there's some sick people in this world. They are users. And I'm going to put this up. This has been a big mystery about the book. And in the book, Virginia says that a prime minister attacked her and left her bruised and bloody. And this particular squatty posted this and said, who is the prime minister that Virginia Giuffre writes about in her book? And I have saw a lot of threads, a lot of discussions about who this person could be. Well, I'm about to tell you what the streets are saying. Who the streets are saying is the prime minister. I'm going to put it up. And it says, breaking. It is being reported that Virginia Giuffre was left bloodied and beaten by former Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Barak in an attack that broke JE's control over her, beginning of the end, per the New York Post. Now, it's probably a lot of people don't remember him. Now, it has been quite a while since he was the prime minister of Israel, but I do remember him. And if this is true, he is a monster. He is a monster. And the reason why I tend to think it's true is because would the New York Post want to set themselves up for libel against a former prime minister? Now, I don't know. I don't know. But this is the person they are pointing to. And like I say, I remember him. It's been a while, but I remember him. He was the prime minister before Netanyahu got back in. Netanyahu has been the prime minister of Israel off and on for decades. But he came in there, I think, before Netanyahu's last term or the term before that. I think they had a shared government, and then it was Netanyahu. Well, it was Barack. Then it was Netanyahu. Then they had a shared government, and now they have Netanyahu back, who, like I said, he has been the prime minister in Israel off and on for decades. But I do remember this man. Very interesting. This poor woman, so damaged, no help whatsoever. And the scars go away on the outside, but it is so difficult for those scars to heal when they are on the inside. And I think she is proof of that because she absolutely could not overcome it. Now, there's a lot of people who are sus of her death too, and we won't get into that. But yeah, isn't that interesting? And I'll tell you something else interesting. This man, J.E., is a lot of people are really, really sus of his death while he was incarcerated. And they say that the reason he became so powerful and so rich that he blackmailed all of these powerful men for money. And when he got in a situation where he was going to be, he was going to have to be held accountable for what he had done, and they knew it was so much that he knew that, they are sus of his death as well. I'm just saying. But they said that that's all he did was blackmail people. And if you notice, all these pictures, he made sure he took pictures. Can you imagine the pictures that haven't been shown yet? That is in evidence in that file. Can you imagine? Because we have pictures of him walking through the park with Andrew absolutely at the door. All of this was set up. I believe he set up all these powerful men. Because let me say this, he was a school teacher. He was a school teacher and not a very good school teacher. And all of a sudden, he started growing in power and growing in power because of this sex slave ring and him blackmailing rich men. Yes, I'm just saying, y'all, it's very interesting. And as this cook, more and more is going to come out. So stay tuned. Stay tuned. Listen, I want to put this up. And to me, this right here is just so, just looking back at this, look at this picture of Andrew with the Queen. This was right after everything was settled. They were just invite him back into the fold like nothing happened. And the Queen rode to church with Andrew. Look at his face. He just knows that everything is over. And this squatty posted this and said, on this day, he thought his problems were over. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Looking back at this picture, it really, really says a lot about everybody in it. I'm just going to leave it there. All right, y'all. I'll see y'all a little later. Bye.